So welcome back to the channel. We're on the 5th of May 2017. We've set up some early morning target prices. These might change as we go through the afternoon. And you can see we've already made a play on Monumental Man at 13.37. And that was because we took a few of the different prices. There wasn't that much liquidity in the market. Remember what we said yesterday in the video that we put up on the channel. In the morning you're not going to get much liquidity, so you are going to get these fluctuations in prices, quite rapid prices. But I think that price is a bit high for Monumental Man. It is a front runner, so if we can't trade it off before the race, then we can certainly look to trade it off during the race. And I would say that the three that should have been a little bit lower are certainly the Big Lad, although I'll put that in at 12.5. The Big Lad is round about 8.8, and Dungannon at 10.5, and these are the three that I would have expected to be a little bit shorter in the market. Highly Sprung, Vimy Ridge and Brother Tiger are the ones that are trading below 6.0, and I'm not sure why that is. They don't seem to have the form in the bag to win the race. Certainly some of these are well handicapped. Brother Tiger certainly well handicapped, but I would have expected these three to be the market leaders. Moscow is a likeable sort. It's always run a decent race. Not sure about the class for this one. And Stormflower as well, towards the bottom of the weights. Flying Bear hasn't run for quite a long time, but it is capable on its day, and last time out finished distressed in the race, and apparently the vet said that it had a nosebleed. So you can put a line through its last run. But prior to that, it had decent form, and if the price goes out, we would be looking to make some trades on that, just so if it comes back to form. So Monumental Man is the early morning play. We'll have a look at, keep an eye on that one. Dungannon also, it's not far off the target price of 12.5, and these green shoots have come through very early. And the Big Lad also at 8.8. That might go out as well, but I think there's strength, more strength in that one than there is in these two, certainly early morning. So that's the state of affairs. That's what we're going to do in the 340 at Lingfield, the 5 furlong handicap, and we'll keep up to date with what happens throughout the day. So let's have a look at the runners for the Lingfield 340, and we'll start off with Brother Tiger. So Brother Tiger, an 8-year-old now, pretty good form, very consistent up to March the 17th, and then you can see its form kind of tailing off a little bit from June the 15th up to April the 6th. Now let's have a look at the form as a 7-year-old. Here we have January the 1st at Southwell, rated 89, race rating 86, finished 3rd of 11, and this is the race here that it won at Chelmsford. 5 furlongs, rated 87, average race rating 88, total class of 175. And look at today's rating, miles down in the official ratings, so it's down 10 in the official ratings and down 11 in class, and that takes it down to 154. Now if you look at those statistics, you'd have to say that the horse is very well handicapped compared to what it did last season, especially in the early months of last season. And if it comes back to anything like the form that it showed then it should actually win this race. But we haven't seen much in the way of that explosive turn of foot that it used to have in the last few runs, and for that reason it is a little bit short in the market, and I'm going to pass on it. But it wouldn't be any surprise if the horse came back to form and actually took the race. Second horse, Dungannon, is pretty similar in that it is older horse, 10-year-olds now, and had decent form at the early start of its 9-year-old career. And you can see this race at Southwell, 5 furlongs, rated 89, and the class was 86, and that was 175 total, now 164. But as you get older, obviously you're going to be deteriorating in form, but it still seems to be up to its ability. Here on March the 9th at Southwell, 5 furlongs, rated 81, and the class of the race was 79, so it is up 4 from that performance, so it's got a little bit more to do. And you can also see that the runs where it's run well are at Southwell. 3 there at Southwell and another 2 there, and last time out at Southwell as well. So it looks like Lingfield it's going to be a little bit more difficult for it as well. But if we can get a decent price, then obviously that will come into the reckoning. If it was Southwell, then maybe we'd be a little bit stronger on it. Flying Bear, now a 6-year-old, very good all-weather form last season. November the 19th was its latest decent performance at Lingfield, which is same today, 5 furlongs. And up 1 in the official ratings, down 3 in class, so a total rating 155, beating just 1¼ lengths in that race. So based on that performance here, has to have a shout in this race. Now the only drawback is it ran on December the 20th, finished 9th of 10, and apparently bled through the nose. So that was the reason for its defeat there. But prior to that, fairly consistent horse. But we do have to overlook this race on December the 20th. So I'm happy to trade it if I can get a pretty good price. This is best to be ignored. Going on this race, November the 19th at Lingfield, has a chance if it can overcome its last run and if it's race fit. So the fourth horse we're looking at is Highly Sprung, Mark Johnson horse, 4-year-old. Not much form to go on the all-weather, but we have got this run here, 5¼ lengths beaten, 4th of 12, and that was in a much better race than today. But it is a different distance, so we'll need to have a look at the turf form and see what kind of distance it's been running on. And we can see here that it's quite adept at sprint distances, 6 furlongs, and we've got this race here on September the 14th at Yarmouth, won by 5 lengths. That was over 6 furlongs. Official rating 83 and race rating of 80. And if we compare that to today, race rating 83, down 3 in the official or the average race rating. So it must have a chance if it can deal with this new distance of 5 furlongs, has the form to be competitive. Passed over for trading because of the market price at the moment. Monumental Man, been around quite a long time, 8-year-old now, and you can see it likes Lingfield. On February 18th at Lingfield over 5 furlongs, which is today's trip, rated 83, average race rating of 81, total rating 164, finished 2nd of 10, beaten 3/4 of a length, and also in an identical race here, won 1st of 5, won by a neck. So it has to be competitive in this kind of race today, and the reason we're looking at this one is because of that price flip between last night where it was short price and now it's drifted right out to 12 to 1 and above. So Monumental Man must come into calculations just for the fact that it's run well at Lingfield, it's competitive, it's a front runner, you're getting a very good price for it, and you'll probably be able to lay it off in running anyway. Moscow is a very reliable horse, very consistent, but today is running a little bit out of its class. You can see the class of this race is 77, nothing like that before. We have to go back to Lingfield here on November the 21st as a 5-year-old, so we're going back 2 seasons before we've got this performance here, which is more or less the same as today, and it ran well there, so there's no reason why it can't run well over 5 furlongs. It's been running well over 5 furlongs before. The only one really where it ran a bad race was here, but that was over 8 furlongs, so I'm not sure why it ran over the mile and then it went back to the sprint trips. Recent runs been beaten in classes 62, 67 and 68, won this race at 59, so all in all it looks like it's just out of its class, but knowing this horse, it'll run an honest race, and if we did get a huge price for it, then we might think about trading it, because it probably will run within 3 lengths of the winner. So we're looking at maybe 34 to start trading on that one, but we certainly don't expect it to win. We may be able to get a profit on the hedge before the race starts. Stormflower, 4-year-old, quite lightly raced, will need to improve to win this race. 148 today. Best performances have come in the 130s. In fact, the lowest rating there where it dead heated, 1st of 6, was its only winning performance, but ran well here off 69 in a race rating of 68. That finished 2nd of 9, but will need to improve to win here. Only lightly raced and is only a 4-year-old, so it is open to that little bit extra, and we would need a big price to start trading on that one due to its form in the past. Same applies to the Big Lad. You can see its ratings just slightly below what's required here. This one, 5 furlongs at Southwell, 72, 75, 147, won that by half a length, and today is up 7, so it can bridge the gap between this race here on January the 5th and May the 5th. Could run a decent race. Got this performance here on May the 9th at Southwell, race rating of 79 and beaten 3.5 lengths there. So it's 153 there, 154 here. So we're expecting, might run a decent race, but it will need to improve slightly to get involved in the finish. But not without a chance, and if we can get a decent price on it, we may be able to do a few trades. Vimeridge, the last one, 5-year-old, again is a pretty consistent performer and has got form in this class. You can see 150, 149, 74 rated down to 72, and just up 1 in the average race rating or the class of the race, and that was beaten 1.5 lengths there, so must have a chance in this race if it runs to its best. A little bit short in the market now, no room for manoeuvre off the current price. So this is the race analysis sheet updated. We've got the recent run, going, distance, class, draw and recent form all highlighted here. The bookmakers forecast, the bookmakers best price, and then we've got the trading summary over here. Now all these green stars on Monumental Man don't mean to say that it's going to win the race, just that it highlights that it's a pretty good trading proposition if we can get the right price. And you can see the betting forecast. This is what I'm talking about with the price flip on the markets, with Monumental Man on the forecast 6.5 and also Dungannon at 5.5. These two were the betting forecast last night, and Brother Tiger was 11 to 1 last night, and also Vimeridge at 10s, and you can see the price come in for Vimeridge and Brother Tiger, and that means that we'll get better prices on some of the other runners. And it just so happens that the two favourites from last night have drifted out in the market, and this is where you get your unexpected prices with the backing of these two horses. Brother Tiger we've looked at, very unexposed, and also Vimeridge, which is a consistent performer, can run well in this class, but because of the prices for these, we've now got trade prices on Dungannon and Monumental Man. So Monumental Man doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to win the race with these 5 stars, but it does highlight that it is a decent trade proposition. And you can see Dungannon also got 5 stars there. The other one that's got 5 stars is Brother Tiger, but that one has the recent form to overcome. So those are the 3 with 5 stars, and they should run decent races. They should come down low in running. Well, certainly these 2 here should come down low in running. Brother Tiger needs to get back to its previous best to be in with a shout, but you couldn't rule it out on all known form. And you can see we've highlighted that in the race summary. An unexpected price flip on the market meant decent prices were available early morning on Dungannon and Monumental Man, with Brother Tiger and Vimeridge attracting support, and giving advice there on the single trade on Monumental Man, Dungannon and the Big Lad if they got to the right prices. And we've put the prices up there. So Monumental Man round about 14, Dungannon round about 13, and the Big Lad 14. Flying Bear is an outsider, had a bit of a setback last time out, but we would be interested in it if we got up to these sorts of prices here, and if it did get up to that price we could trade it and then hedge out before the race. So that's the race analysis sheet, that's the highlights. We're expecting Dungannon and Monumental Man to trade low in running. You can see the price now has come down to 11. We've got a little bit of money taken at 10.5. We've got £6.21 in there. The price on Dungannon has collapsed as well, that went up to 12, and Big Lad is more or less the same price as it was. Vimeridge is starting to drift out, 6.6, it was below 6 last time, and these on the right hand side are also starting to drift slightly. Flying Bear and Stormflower Moscow also starting to drift out a little bit. So there's plenty of time yet for these to get into tradable positions. We should be able to get the trade off on Monumental Man, which is a good start to the day, and Dungannon. Possibilities that could go back out, but we'll wait and see on that one in the afternoon. Big Lad, again, possibilities, it could drift out if there's money for something else. Like we saw this morning, the money came in for these three and these three horses, which were the more fancied horses last night, drifted out quite badly early on. So don't always give up on a horse just because it's trading way below the price that you want. You'll notice there is a £8 in at 14, and that's because on this single trade bet my stake would be 16 for this sort of level 2 betting. So if you're going to put in the price, sometimes it's best, especially if the price is pushing up and there's not much resistance, just to put the halve your bet, but put the two in, one above the other. So we took the prices and that meant that the price came down, but we've also got this in, so I'm not too bothered about if it goes back up to that and takes that, because the stake would have been 16 anyway. So normally you'd just leave one bet in if it was a single stake, but because the stake is 16, that's why that price is there. So next time, if this gets taken, and it should do because we've had a little bit more taken, then we're going to put the price back in up here, but we're going to remove that because I want to again show this side as a bit of a weakness in terms of liquidity. I know there's not much there, but even little amounts in the morning can stop a price going up to what you want. So if this price gets taken, we're going to put the target price in of 0.01 back up at 13.5, and then hopefully the price will go back and we can retrade on Monumental Man. Now just a word about the position on Moscow, and you can see that I've put the price in at 20, and the price in the morning was down at 10. But if you look on the race analysis sheet, you'll find that Moscow betting forecast was 11 and the bookmaker best price in the morning was 12. So I'm not sure why anybody would want to trade at 10, and that becomes a false price. So the proper trading price would probably be somewhere up here about 14. So putting the target price in at 20 is just a reminder that the price is going to go. I'm not going to start trading at that price because I think the price will go a little bit higher. But don't get sucked into these false prices. It's been as low as 10, yes, but if you look on the betting forecast and the bookmakers prices, then the price was more up towards this 12.5 or 11.5 to 1. So when you're thinking about putting in a target price, certainly put it in to remind you that it's going up, but don't put that in stone thinking that okay, we're going to start trading at 20. The price could possibly go a lot higher, and we're thinking more the realistic price to start looking from as a base is about 14. So I certainly want higher than 20 if I'm looking to see the price drift out. I want to see it drift out from this position here of about 13.5, 14, and not this low figure of 10, because that's unrealistic in the market. So that price on Monumental Man has now been taken, and that was quite an easy single bet trade because of the market flip, or the price flip, between Brother Tiger, Vimy Ridge and Monumental Man and Dungannon. So what we're going to do now, we're going to reduce that so that it gives more of a picture of weakness on the right hand side, and we're going to put the target price back in at 13 with a view to making another single bet trade. And we've got this 23 at 10, which is not a problem. We haven't got massive amounts of money going down there, so if the price did come down quite sharply, then we could hedge the market. So we're going to leave that hedge for now. We could do the reverse trading at 11, so if, for example, if you put the 2 in there, you'd get a return on the money, and then you'd have the bonus that if the price did go back up, then you would be able to back and increase this money here just by putting that money in. If the price went down, you'd still have the money going into the race. So that's something to bear in mind if you've Had a look at that reverse trading, where you can put the money in lower down and then hope to back it higher up. But that's the play we're going to do. We're going to put the target price back up. If it hits 13 again, we'll look to make a similar trade going down to roughly the same price, 10.5, maybe 11. Depends on how high we can get this price on Monumental Man up here. Let's have a look at some of the other ones. Flying Bear still around about the same. Stormflower come down again from that position of 19.5, and Moscow still trading round about 16.5, 17. So these are capable of drifting out as the day goes on. I think Dungannon 9.4 is certainly more realistic than the 12 that was on offer this morning. The Big Lad, similar price. Highly Sprung coming slightly. Vimy Ridge, that's the one that was for money this morning. And also Brother Tiger is fairly strong in the market, but I think the market flip has helped us with certainly Monumental Man and maybe Dungannon if that goes back out to 12, 12.5. And you can see we just missed the price on that. We put in at 12.5 and the price went to 12. So sometimes you're going to miss out on these prices by putting the target in. If you feel like you want to take 12, then you know, by all means, it was a good price. I wouldn't blame anybody for taking 12 early on this morning. So let's see what happens, see what develops with certainly Monumental Man and possibly Dungannon, and then these three later on in the day, see if they go to multi-trade prices. And now we've reached the price on Moscow that we set before at 20, and as we explained before, we're going to look at the graph again, and the low price was 10, the high price now is 20, so you would say that's quite a big drift. But as we explained a little bit earlier on in the video, we thought this 10 was a false price, so in effect that's 9 to 1. And if we look at the race analysis sheet, then the betting forecast was 11, the bookmaker price this morning was 12, so I think 9 to 1 is more or less a very false price. So we need to start from a little bit higher up, as we said before, and that's about 13.5, 14, something like that. So I think this is not really that steep a climb in terms of where the price has really come from, instead of this price down here at 10. So that's quite a decent climb, but I think the real starting point was from round about here. So we want the price to go a little bit further, so I'm going to move the target price up a little bit, and we're going to put that target price in at possibly about 24, and we'll have another look at it at 24 and see what happens then. We see we've got the price on Monumental Man is still about 10.5, 11, and we've got this target in. The price on Dungannon is starting to just level off at 9.8, and we've still got these prices over here, and if anything they're actually holding up quite well. Brother Tiger 5.3, Vimy Ridge 5.4, coming even further, and Highly Sprung, another one, trading round about 6.2. So we're not saying, of course we're not saying these can't win the race. Obviously any horse can win any race, but what we're saying is these are the unfancied horses from last night, apart from Highly Sprung, which was quite fancied, but these two certainly weren't the fancied horses from the betting market. So the perception of the punter is that these horses are now a little bit too short, and because these were highlighted and they have the form, then there has to be some sort of correction at some stage, and if you can get a decent price on these, then it is likely, not always guaranteed, but it is likely that you will be able to trade off at decent prices. So we've put that back in at 13. That's a reasonable expectation, and obviously we're going to have a look at that again when that price meets that. And Dungannon at 12.5, and again we're going to have a look at that if the price reaches that far. And there's some movement on Moscow, but I would expect that to reach 24. I don't think it's going to be backed in, but you know, stranger things have happened. These two have been backed in, but Moscow is on the drift, so we're hoping that it's going to go 24 and above, and then we can see if we can do some multiple trades on that one. Stormflower leveled off, and Flying Bear also leveled off. Not as much interest in these two at the present time. So we're 41 minutes away from post time. We've put the bets in now with a Big Lad at 14, Monumental Man at 14 and Dungannon at 13. And hopefully we can do some single trade bets on those three horses. Moscow, the one that we looked at, didn't really have the form to win the race. Doesn't mean to say it can't do, just in my eyes it doesn't have enough class to win it. And Stormflower likewise, these two certainly up against it. Flying Bear, bit more solid at 20, expecting that one to drift out. That one hasn't run for a while since being beaten when it bled from the nose, and these three, if anything, have become stronger in the market as well. So we're looking for these prices on Dungannon, Monumental Man and the Big Lad. And I'm going to put the target price in at 40 for Flying Bear as well. If we go down, bit of opposition there, but I'm not prepared to take the lower prices because of the lack of running or lack of recent form. You've really got to be quite careful with these that don't have the form, because it looks like the price is drifting, looks like it's drifting to a tradable price. It may well do, it may well trade round about 30, but it could keep on going because there's no real strength behind it. And Flying Bear, once that starts moving out and we get over this little bit of money on the right hand side, we could see a big, again, drift on that particular price. Now we've got this money on Monumental Man that we did earlier, and we can hedge that before the race starts if we want to, or we can play it in running. Now the price in running is 7, so it's round about half of what we've got here. So the starting price for the bet is 14, so we can do a few single bet trades on that. 14 down to 11.5, and then if it goes back up we can do that again, try and build up some profit on there, and then late in running at the price that we suggested of 7.0. Now if the price doesn't go back up there and the price comes down more to 7.0, then there's not a lot of point playing in running. We can hedge before the market because we'll almost be getting the price that we wanted in running anyway, and it would be wise at that stage just to hedge the market. Don't forget, we're playing for smallish stakes, level 2, playing for 8 to 16 pounds, depending on how you feel about the race. 8 to 16 pounds is your first trade, and then 8 or 4 pounds on your next trades. But these are single bet trades, so we're only putting one stake in. We might do multiple trades on it, but we'll only put in the one stake in. So if it does go higher, we play it in running. We don't keep following the price up like we would do if we were trading multiple times on some of the outsiders. We're now inside the final 5 minutes, so we're going to be looking at taking the money out of the market now. We were a little bit unlucky not to get the bet matched on Monumental Man. You can see from the graph that went back out to 13, so just a couple of ticks under the price that we suggested at 14. And no worries about that. We got the price early morning, and we're going to take these out now because I don't like trading or putting the bets in, at least in the last 5 minutes. Now if you were in this position where you had layers in the market, I would leave them in closer to post time because there may be a chance that those will get taken. So within the final 5 minutes, we're not going to put any more bets in. We're not going to start trading within that final 5 minutes. But obviously if you do have money to get rid of, then keep that in and see closer to post time what the position is. If you've got a loss situation, say 30 seconds before the race, then certainly hedge out, cut your losses and take the money out of the market. But we're in a decent position here because we got that market flip on the favourites. Remember, these two were the unexpected springers in the market, and consequently these two went out to prices that were probably above what they should have been. And also Big Lad, although that didn't drift out too much, has drifted out slightly from the betting forecast. Flying Bear, bit disappointed with the price on that one, only trading round about 21, 22 all the time, fairly consistent within that bracket. Sunflower, you could have traded that if you wanted at 30 or above like that, but I wasn't interested in that one because of the form. And similarly Moscow, not interested in that one because it doesn't have, so far anyway, the class of the rest of the runners. So that's about it for this race. Obviously we're going to be looking to play in running. Now you could hedge the market. Let's just see what the position is. The in running play was at 7, so if I put in 3 at 7, you can see I'm only going to be winning around about £3, something like that. So all in all, probably best, because you're already winning close to that figure anyway, probably best to hedge the market if you can get 220, 225, possibly 3/4 of the position that you would be in even if you played in running. So your probably best bet is going to be to hedge out and take the money before the race. Now obviously we're only playing for small stakes, but if you're playing for bigger stakes, then these will affect you a little bit more. You could leave the money in, you could play in running. Hedging out is probably the wise thing to do if you're just starting off and you want to build a bit of confidence, you want to get your bank growing a little bit. So we've got about 1:54 to post time. You certainly should be out of the market with any bets at this stage. Looking to lay off those straggling lays if you've got any left in the market, but you can see the big money now coming in, 10.5, 10, and plenty of money under here. So I'm going to take the money,
fully matched.
going to trade out of that market, just lock in a little bit of profit, and that's going to be that for the video. So what we learnt today, we're going to be looking, or we have been looking at market flips on the favourites. So these two were the ones that got backed in. As a consequence of that, Dungannon and Monumental Man went out to backable prices early morning. They went out too far. The correct play was to take that money early morning and then wait to trade off. We possibly tried to trade back on Monumental Man at 14. Didn't quite get there, got to 13 and then came sharply in. Dungannon has just been backed in accordingly and is getting very close now to the position that we suggested in running. So again, if you had have played, you had have got the money on Dungannon, you would be hedging the market at this stage and not leaving the money in. Similarly, Big Lad, I think that's come down to 8.2. Again, you would be hedging the market, you wouldn't be playing in running on these. You'd already have the profit and you'd already be playing the hedge part of the trade. Now these have held up quite well. We looked at the form earlier. This one has dropped right down in the weights. Vimy Ridge is not a bad sort, consistent and highly sprung, is running over 5 furlongs, a trip which may be, or may not be on the short side for it. We've got Flying Bear over here, which is just starting to break out of that shell, but it is too late now on that one. We can't do anything about that. And Mosgo and Stormflyer were just slightly out of their class on all known form. So that's it. We'll watch the race, we'll see what happens during this particular sprint. But if you were playing on the race, you should have hedged out on all 3 of these if you got the prices. Obviously we didn't get the price on the Big Lad. Dungannon, touch and go in the morning, 12 was a decent price in hindsight, but certainly Monumental Man, if you were up early with the Lark, you could have got that price early on. Not to worry, if you didn't get that, move on to the next race, racing another day tomorrow, and hopefully a change in some betting patterns. And the race is now off, so let's just watch a few in running, see where they get to. Brother Tiger seems to be trading quite short. Dungannon's gone below 7. Monumental Man has also gone below 7. Big Lad was on the outside, remember, had that wide draw. But Monumental Man certainly coming in 3.15. Dungannon 5. These two. And Brother Tiger is also there, and Dungannon challenging possibly. Brother Tiger 1.16, 1.01. Brother Tiger is the winner, but Dungannon and Monumental Man both traded low in running. In fact, Dungannon went down to 3.1, Monumental Man went down to around about 3.5 I think. Big Lad was the one that, we'll have to see where that traded. Not sure what price the Big Lad went down to, so if you want to watch that back again. But Monumental Man was obviously the one that we were looking to get. We got the price on it, we were looking for that one to come down in price. It did come down, it went down certainly below 4. And Dungannon also, the one that you could have got the price this morning, and that one came down to the price below what we suggested. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Brother Tiger, the well handicapped Brother Tiger, has won the race, but the whole point of the video is to take the big prices and then lay that off in running at shorter odds. So if you're interested in the racing services that we've got at the moment, and just stay tuned, we'll bring you details of that in a short while. I'd just like to say thank you to all the subscribers that we've got on the channel, now closing in on 300 subscribers. Thank you to all the customers that we've got who've put off the faith in us for the trading purposes. You're still welcome to join if you want to have a look at any of the packages, and thank you again for the people viewing the channel. See you next time. So as stated on the video, the full racing packages are now available. Take your trading to another level. Professional advice and support, all our racing services are now available on the Exchange Trader channel. We have a range of packages to suit your needs, including bronze, silver and gold programs. We can also customize our range to suit your own needs and requirements. Benefits include full race form, race analysis sheets, ongoing support and help, and one-to-one feedback on your own trading performance. Click on the link under the video to access our full service playlist, or send an email to exchangetrader@btinternet.com for more information. Remember, places are limited on all packages, so act quickly to secure your place. A massive thanks to the customers already on side, as well as our growing list of subscribers and viewers.